Welcome to the Everything Podcast, and in this episode, I'll be discussing the trailer for Comedy Playhouse. I'm recording this episode on the 20th of October 2025. But before I get on with the trailer, as with my most recent trailer discussions, I go through everything that we know so far, and then we listen to the trailer together. So, Comedy Playhouse will release in November 2025. It's a very different kind of release from Big Finish because it's comedy, whereas obviously the most of what Big Finish usually covers and what I cover on the channel is obviously Doctor Who related in some form. So yeah, so as I said, it releases in November 2025. I'm not going to go through the cast list or the writers now. I'll go through the writers because it's 6 episodes. So yeah, so Comedy Playhouse is actually, so let's read what we know about it. So it's an anthology of 6 full cast audio sitcom pilots from upcoming writers. And I do believe that there's a way that when this releases, you can vote for your favourite, and that's going to be turned into a series, I think. But without further ado, let's ignore that for a second and just focus on the um, the synopsis of each. So we start off with Sad Sunk Rock, written by Tom Wordsley, which has this synopsis. After his girlfriend dumps him and he proves unbearable, Victor is sent to join 3 other marine biologists on the isolated island of Sad Sunk Rock. They are Elsbeth, who has been there for 38 years and talks to the sheep Deborah, who has had no contact with the outside world, and Ali, a wild-eyed Scotsman who's technically twins, slightly radioactive, and who once fought an alligator in the Amazon. Victor's forced is to return to the mainland at the first opportunity, but somehow he begins to feel that he might fit in. We then have Scribbling, written by Amy Zander, with this synopsis. Scribbling follows 4 inhabitants of a rural West Country town, Madeline, Edward, Ling and Beth, who reluctantly bond after joining a writers' group run by brazen new resident Laurie, a former entertainer still desperate for an audience. We then have Members, written by Jack Bradfield and Fergus MacDonald, which has this synopsis. The House of Commons during the reign of King George II is a strange and cloistered world of the corrupt and the eccentric, where the main businesses of the day are boozing, whoring, and trying to get pudding served earlier due to an administrative let me try again because it's harder. Due to an administrative, there we go, mix-up, the young Henry Fitzgerald finds himself elected to Parliament and finds it also impossible to leave. We then have Square Pegs, written by Jenny DeVoe and Phil Butcher, which has this synopsis. It's the Pegs' first day in their new country home, but all is not well. There's no mobile signal, no takeaway, their neighbours are different, and Dawn's run over the previous owner's cat. Can anything else go wrong? We then have Golden Sands, written by Tom Walker, with this synopsis. Chorlton by Sea is a bleak, desolate and decaying seaside town, and few visitors come to purchase the peculiar novelties from Julie's gift shop or to sample the delights of Sue's chip shop. And it's not much of a place for the young, awkward Rowan and Sophie to have a blossoming romance. It is, however, the ideal place for murder. We then, the 6th and final story in the Comedy Playhouse anthology box set, is The Cracks Are Showing, written by Alan Ronald and Cy Hinton, with the following synopsis. When Karloff goes for an interview to be an office scapegoat, he is found to be too optimistic for the position and is thrown out of the window. In his death, he is joined by painter and philosopher William Blake on a metaphysical quest through the underworld to find out who is responsible for humankind's misery. Comedy Playhouse was recorded on the 6th and 8th of January, as well as the 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th of March 2025. We've got a bit of we've got a bit of information here. So here we go. In 2023, Big Finish Productions and Rise on Comedy united to revive the BBC's legendary anthology series Comedy Playhouse and ran an open submission competition for sitcom pilot scripts. The winning script was The Cracks Are Showing by Cy Hinton and Alan Ronald, and is performed by its writers, the comedy duo known as the Electric Head. This and the 5 runners-up have now been produced as full cast audio episodes. Producer and script editor Jonathan Morris said, "It's been a huge joy to work with all these writers. At the end of every recording session, my face ached from smiling. We have 6 very different scripts, covering every style of comedy from domestic to historical to metaphysical, and they all have fabulous casts, including 1 or 2 comedy legends. Members has a bit of a Blackadder the Third feel, set in the cloistered world of the 18th century House of Commons, with really ripe characters and dialogue. Sad Sunk Rock is about 4 marine biologists stuck on an isolated island, which reminded me of cult shows like Nightingales and Father Ted. Golden Sand is about oddballs in a run-down seaside town, a bit like Broadchurch, but with the one thing Broadchurch was missing: jokes. And the cracks are showing is a Python-esque take on Dante's Divine Comedy. They're all great and they all have potential to go to a series. Producer Lizzie Wordeland, and I'm delighted that Big Finish listeners can now hear these 6 winning pilots, winning comedy pilots rather, from an exciting new group of writers. Square Pegs will have you laughing out loud with its hilarious spot-on depiction of rural life. It also features Sacha Dhawan in a role unlike anything Big Finish fans have heard from him before. In Scribbly, we meet 5 distinct characters who are incredibly funny and endearing as they navigate the quirks of a local writers group. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire cast list, but I'm going to go through the main ones. Let's go with the actors that we already know, for example. So Timothy Bentinck plays Edward Hodges. Nicholas Briggs plays Lord Buttingham. Sacha Dhawan plays Darren Pegg. Barnaby Edwards plays Scroat. Helen Goldwyn plays Frances Carraway. Who else do we know from this list? Siobhan Redmond plays Elspeth. Alan Ronald plays Karloff. Dan Starkey plays Thirstings and Smythe. And Lizzie Wordle plays Beth Grant. There is, as I said there, there's a lot more cast, but I wasn't going to go through it. So, so without further ado, long last is actually a longer episode than I was expecting. Here is the trailer for Comedy Playhouse, which will release in November 2025. Enjoy.
From Big Finish Productions, Comedy Playhouse.
Quick one, really, guys. A little motion. Who wants to grant the Boozing and Whoring Committee another £5,000 for booze and whores?
All those in favour, say aye. Aye. All those against, say nay. Passed unanimously. Session's adjourned. Last one to the bar is a Frenchman.
I have to get out of this horrid place.
Where are we?
Yeah, have a look at this tourist guide.
Welcome to Hull.
What? Oh, must be a misprint. Although it's a bit like Hull, only hotter. There's a map on the back.
I recognise this. It's by Botticelli. Limbo. This is the edge of hell.
Spot on.
You mean, where's Chipley Sands? No one remembers it anymore after the scandal. What was the scandal? A man was stealing balls from the Crazy Golf.
Oh, that doesn't sound too bad.
Well, no, not until his body was discovered chopped up and stuffed inside the mini windmill.
You have to admit, Laurie, you essentially do a one-woman show every week, which is not what I expected when I replied to your post about starting a writers' group.
Me neither. I also expected a few more men to be here.
What about me?
What about you, Edward?
Fear of death is what stops you from reaching your physical limits. No man is ever 100% of what he can be without banishing his fear of mortality.
Yeah, I think I'm happy being like 90%.
You're more like 6%.
And what are you?
200.
How's that possible?
I'm technically twins.
Well, good luck. Call us if you need us.
What do you mean?
Moving to these parts can be scary.
How?
We move as many back as we move in.
Really?
Can't cope. The smells, no public transport, the open spaces.
That's a bit overdramatic, isn't it?
Just saying. I'll give you 6 months.
Big Finish for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for Comedy Playhouse, which, as I mentioned several times in this episode, will release in November 2025. And that's it for this episode. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of the trailer for Comedy Playhouse, as well as if you're planning to listen to it when it gets released. Put your thoughts on both of those in the comments below, as well with anything else you want me to cover the channel, such as any previews or recaps. Put those in the comments below as well. Remember, you can also like, comment, and subscribe, and the podcast is now available alternatively on all audio platforms, including Spotify and Amazon Music. Let's just bear that in mind. But what was I going to say? Oh yes, the audio episodes don't include the outro or the intro. They don't include any of Chuck's bonus episodes, and they don't include any of Matt's fantastic additions to the episodes. It is literally just my audio. Just bear that in mind. But without further ado, I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.